Hello, boys and girls. How are you? I'm doing well. I hope that you are having a great day. So, today we are going to do another science lesson, of course. Science lesson. If you are here, it's because you were doing science with me. You do know my name, right? You remember my name? Of course, Mr. Broussard. Alrighty. So, we are going to do a science lesson today that is a review because we've already done this, but we want to add just a little bit more to our knowledge that we have here, right? So it's about fossils, and let's go over the learning target as we always do. So our learning target is I can examine, so I can carefully look, I can carefully study fossils and infer, so based on the evidence, based on what we look, based on what we see, I can infer what those organisms looked like when they were alive and what their habitat was. Okay? So today, our target is to look at a fossil and infer what they looked like when they were alive and where they lived based on our observations. Are we ready? So, boys and girls, before we start looking at fossils, I want us to look at some animals that you might not know. Okay, I want you to look at two animals that you might not know. And I want you to look at the pictures very, very, very carefully, examine every single thing that you see. And I want you to decide if what this animal eats. So if it's a carnivore or an herbivore. And I want you to decide where this animal lives, okay? So based on what you see, okay, what do you think the animal eats? Where do you think the animal lives, okay? I'm going to show you the two pictures now. And then you're going to pause the video and you are going to think about where the animal lives and what this animal eats. So look at this animal carefully. Look at it. Look at the animal very carefully. Now look at this organism. Look at this organism. You gotta tell us, you gotta decide, what do they eat? Where do they live? So do you infer? What do you think? Well, I'll tell you. The first one is a Patagonian vector, okay? And it is a vegetarian. It is an herbivore, okay? And it lives where there is vegetation, but it lives sort of like in the mountains, okay? So what do you think? Do you think that that was an herbivore? Right? It doesn't have huge teeth, and it has like a kind of like fur. So you can imagine that it might live in a cold place, and you know that if it doesn't have big teeth, it might not eat meat. So do you guess that? The other one is a Venus flytrap, and this is a plant. And you might have looked at those little spiky things right there, and it looks like a big mouth that is open. Well, I'm sure you know about this plant. This plant is very unique because this plant is carnivorous. This plant is a carnivore. And that plant lives in the jungle. You can see those bright colors of plants that live in the jungle. So what do you think? Did you guess? Did you infer correctly? Well, it doesn't matter. Inferring is just based on some evidence that we have, but it is not always correct. But our lesson today is not looking at living organisms. Our lesson today is examining fossils of things that used to be alive. So fossils of things that used to be alive. So just to refresh our memories, we're going to read an article about what a fossil is, just to make sure that we are clear about what fossils are, okay? It is a document titled Explaining Fossils, okay? Explaining Fossils. So go ahead and open it. Explaining Fossils. When you open it, it looks like this, okay? Explaining Fossils. So open that document and let's read, okay? Actually, you know what? I think you should read this article by yourselves Yeah, we read a lot of the articles together, so this one should be by yourself, so you can get that practice reading scientific articles, right? So go ahead, and I'm going to give you some time to read it by yourselves, and you can highlight, you can underline, all of those things, okay? So just pause the video and just read the article slowly, carefully, okay? So now that we were reminded of what a fossil is, right? That they're animals and plants, not just animals. Okay, some kids, that have not studied fossils, and some adults think that it's just animals, but it's animals and plants. And we know that we have two types of fossils, right? It could be a remain of the body, or it could be like a footprint, right? And we know that we also have some petrified wood. And you also read there that sometimes things are found near ice, okay? And of course, we know that this happened. These fossils were formed a long, long time ago. Now that you read the article, I want you to watch a video, okay? The video's title is, let me see what it is. What is a fossil? So click on that link, what is a fossil, and watch that video just to get a little bit more information, okay? So you got a lot of information from the article. Now watch the video, okay? So you pause this one and watch that video. What is a fossil? It looks like this. It looks like that, okay? You see it? What's a fossil? So watch that video now, okay? Now you're really going to enjoy what we're going to do next, okay? You're really going to enjoy it because we're going to examine, we're going to analyze fossils. Okay, well, pictures of fossils, of course, because they are in the computer, so we are not in a real fossil dig, but we are going to analyze fossils, and just like you did with the two animals at the beginning, where you inferred where what their habitat was, and what they ate, you're going to do the same thing with these fossils, okay? So you are going to infer what these organisms, what these animals, all the fossils are of animals. There are no fossils in this activity that are of plants, okay? But you are going to infer what they ate based on what you observe, and you're going to infer where they lived, if they lived water or land, okay? So you're going to infer whether they are herbivores or carnivores, plant eating or meat eating, and if they lived on water or land. The name of the document is Fossil Observation Chart. You see it right there? So open it up. It looks like this. It looks like this. So it has a drawing or picture of the fossil. Then it says carnivore or herbivore, and land or water, okay? And then there is a little, you see right there that says evidence. So when you write if it's an herbivore or carnivore, you need to write your evidence of why you say that it is an herbivore or a carnivore. And when you say that it is land or sea, you have to also write the evidence for saying that, for inferring that, okay? Are we clear what we're supposed to do? So go ahead, pause the video and start working. Now let's look at some of those. So if we look at this one right here, what do you say, carnivore or herbivore? I'm sure you said carnivore. And the evidence is that it has very large, sharp teeth, right? Now for the habitat, we don't know that much, but we probably, if it's a carnivore, right? And it has those huge teeth, and you don't see the body, so it could have been land or sea, as far as you know. What do you guess? What do you infer? Okay. I don't know. How about this one right here? Carnivore or herbivore? We cannot see the teeth, so we don't know, but it looks like it was kind of big. So, I don't know. I don't know what you guessed, if it was herbivore or carnivore, but we know, right? I'm sure that you probably inferred that it was an air, that it was an animal that could fly because it has something that looks like wings, right? This tooth right here, super big. So I'm sure it was a carnivore with teeth like that. And we have no idea what the habitat was, or you don't know because you cannot see the body. So it could have been land or sea. And this first one, what do you think? Carnivore or herbivore? I think I see some big teeth there. I'm not sure, but I think I do. And also it looks like, those look a little bit like fins, right? It looks like it might be a water animal when it was alive. So we can learn many things from fossils. We can learn many things about the past. And we want to learn about the past, right? We want to know, we want to know what these animals look like, where they lived, what they ate, right? Because a lot of the animals that lived in the past, or most of them, are not alive anymore. So we want to learn about the past of our planet, the past of what was going on in our planet many, many years ago, right? And that's exactly what you just did. You inferred. We don't know for sure, because we're only making inferences based on our observations, but we have a pretty good idea. Now, to make sure that we actually understood what we were supposed to learn today, which was what we can learn from fossils and what we can infer when we examine a fossil, this is what I want you to do. I want you to finish this paragraph, okay? The paragraph goes, fossils are remains of organisms that lived long ago. By observing them carefully, we can learn about those animals when they were alive. We can learn blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. So your job now is to write what we can learn from them, okay? And we did it with that chart, okay? What can we learn by observing fossils of animals and plants? What can we learn, okay? So pause the video and get to work. So now that we finished that paragraph, let's look at our learning target. So it says, I can examine fossils and infer what those organisms looked like when they were alive and what their habitat was. So did we do that? Yes, we looked at fossils and we talked about what they might have eaten, where they lived, what they looked like, right? Just by looking at those fossils. So I think we have reached our learning target. And if not, you can always go back, watch some of the videos, read the articles again, and keep looking at those organizers, and I'm sure you can figure it out. So thank you, boys and girls. Thank you for joining me for this lesson today. I hope that you learned many things about fossils and that you can tell somebody. If they ask you, hey, what do you learn for science today? You can go to that learning target and quickly just tell them, oh, I learned that fossils, by looking at them, we can learn about the past. We know what they ate. We know what they might have lived just by looking at them carefully, okay? And that way, we learn about the past of our planet Earth. So thank you so much for joining me today again, and I hope you have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Remember, science is everywhere.